We're recording. Hey there, Ash.
Hey, Auntie.
Welcome to Hey Auntie and Ash.
Yes,
I'm excited.
me
I'm
too.
excited. This is kind of a part two to last week's
It
conversation.
is.
Sort of, kind of, right?
Yes,
Last week we talked about mute, block, ignore, or forgive. So
we
this
did.
week,
And it
right?
was juicy. It was
I
juicy.
think it was real juicy too. I think it was really good. Tonight, I think it'll be juicy. And we're
Yes,
going to kind of talk more about the Cassie and
right. And go
Puff.
into like the nitty gritty parts, right? Versus just
Mhm.
like skimming over it.
Yes, and the forgiveness part and getting over it. Like, why she waited so long?
Yes,
Is this
yes,
a money grab?
yes.
She just doing it for the bread,
That
girl.
part.
Why she wait so long? She must not had no problem. Now she just want his bank, his money. We're gonna dig into that. We're gonna talk about
Oh,
it. So,
he allegedly supported her family. All the lit stuff. All of those things.
and so I wish I had something to write with because I want to talk about that. So actually, I hope you bring that up again because it triggered something in me. Often that's what I don't want to get deep into the grooming aspect of it,
No,
but
but that's what.
often that is part of the groomer's manipulative action, right? Putting you in a position where you need them, right? So that they can have control. So Ash, yeah, we're gonna talk about girl, Ash. Are
Yes.
you over it yet?
Hmm.
And
So
the it can be anything you want it to be, y'all. Today we're talking more about SA and DA. Y'all
yes.
know shadow banning. So
Hmm.
Ash, you take it away. Are you over it yet?
So I'm gonna say there are aspects that I am over,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You get over the original act,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to process all the effects, right? And there are some days that you like, dang, I thought I was over this, right? It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're not over it. How
Mm-hmm.
it might mean that there may be some triggers that you may need to cope or work on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say that I'm over the initial act, which is the SA, but there's still parts of the DA and the mental aspects of the grooming that I'm still working through. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I'm sorry. I'm here. I was fiddling with my mic.
It's
It is
okay.
tripping, and I really should have moved it before we started this
It's
episode.
okay. It's
But
okay.
so when you say you're still getting over some aspects of the DA and the grooming part, can you dive a little deeper? And
So
sorry, guys, we have to use these little,
these terms.
yeah, these terms. It's shadow banning. So,
So this is the thing. I have like prefaced my story. Um, my offender was technically the man I grew up knowing as daddy. And he was still buying me like clothes and shoes and all of these things. Even bought me a car. Was
wow,
a used car,
but a car nonetheless.
but a car nonetheless, right?
Mhm.
And so you're taught, right, that this person is your father. You accept this person as your father because guess what? The person that you knew before these things happened is not the same person that you have come to know within the family dynamic, which is kind of how men do before the DA, right? They act like, oh, I'm this loving, caring, blah, blah. And you see spurts and splots of the DA, but not
Mhm.
all of it.
Mhm.
And so it was like once the marriage happened, the monster came out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about SA and DA, I hope you all know what we're referring to.
Yeah.
And if you don't, let us know. But this is not a light topic, and
No.
we're gonna dive and be sensitive at the same
Yes.
time, very transparent and
So
authentic
and so
as
what
it pertains to us.
yeah, and so what I mean by that is I was dealing with trauma on multiple levels, right? I was dealing with trauma as the person who was experiencing SA. I was dealing with trauma as the child who was seeing with her eyes DA with her parents.
Okay.
And I'm probably sure when some people look at it, they'll be like, we didn't know that part. God bless. And what I mean by that is the paternal person was DAing the maternal person. Okay. That dynamic was happening, but then also CA was happening to me. So perfect example. This person has, even before the essay, I remember this one time I got in trouble for talking. I was a very talkative kid, right? Got so much to say. Well, of course you got so much to say because you on eggshells at home, you know?
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, I got something good to talk. And then, and I'm friendly and blah, blah, I'm having a good time. And I get this. Thanks, Jay. And I get this report on my progress report. And hey, we're gonna take that phone. Y'all forgive me, I had a parenting moment. So anyway, my father gets this progress report, and what ends up happening is he sees that I'm talking and all of these things, and I get this bad report, and I come home and he's like, oh yeah, you getting whooped. But I'm thinking it's a regular whooping, clothes on, whooping. He tells me to get butt naked. I am in the 2nd grade. And he has a belt this thick, one of those cowboy thick leather belts. And I have to get across the bed, and he whoops me profusely with this belt. And so that's what I mean by I have gotten over the act, right? But there are still things that I am currently, people don't understand the mental capacity, right? That you are still, or the mental blocks and boundaries and abuse that you are still getting over.
And that's what I like to call the residue, right? So even though Ash is a grown woman, as you heard from her background, she's the mom of a beautiful little boy.
I am, and a wife of a king.
She is a wife of a king, a Black king, that is. And yet there is residue, because that kind of abuse, SA, child SA, DA, that stuff is layered. It's not just the act.
Yeah. And it's also, let's even talk about this. You have children, and people don't understand. You have children, and then because you're cautious, God, you understand how things work. You sit in a therapy session and say, am I like this person? Will I do this to my own child? What's going so? Not because you have those perversions, but because you just like, I just want to know that I am not the same monster.
Because when you're exposed to something, it triggers a different part of your brain. Something that, had you never been exposed to that, you would have never had that kind of thought.
Exactly.
That wouldn't be something you're sitting on a therapist's sofa asking. You would.
And I remember the comfort that I got was when I sat on the therapist's sofa, she literally said, if you didn't have these questions, I would think something was wrong.
There would be a problem. And that is how predators are created, when they don't have the questions, when they don't ask the questions, because I don't think it's something anyone ever does unknowingly. You know what you're doing. It's premeditated. Even if it's only premeditated for 5 minutes, you know. It's a thought you've been having and you didn't reach out for help because you've leaned into the perversion.
Yeah,
You
and then
have the
and
desire.
then lingers. It can. So what I mean, and when we talking about are you over it yet? It lingers in so many ways. So like I'm a teacher. There are just certain ways that I don't want to present myself to young men. You know, I don't even want them.
But Ash, that is wisdom. You don't want the appearance of evil. You don't want the appearance of someone misunderstanding or mistaking something. You don't want to put yourself in situations. I think about in the years when the doctors, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but it used to be you could be in a room with a doctor, a male doctor, and you're a female, and they didn't need to have a woman in the room. Now it's generally a nurse or whatever, doctor's assistant in the room. It could just be you and that doctor. And there was a lot of abuse happening. And then I remember when it changed. And if I had a male doctor, he had to have the female doctor's assistant or nurse in the room with him.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, wow, this is interesting because they had too many lawsuits. So I'm grateful that you shared that. So that question, are you over it yet? I too, as you know, as our audience hopefully knows, I am a survivor of CSA, child SA. And I also am a survivor of DA. It didn't last long, but it did last. It happened. And the thing about that CSA, for me, because it was, again, that familial SA, it was my father and it was my uncle. And at 2 different times in my life. So those formative years, my uncle, I was 9, from 9 to right before I was 10, I think, or somewhere around there. And then my father, so I was a child, an adolescent. And then in my teen years, from 16 to 3-4 months shy of my 18th birthday with my father.
Wow.
And so you had both of those really important stages in my growth and brain development and my frontal lobe and, all of these things that are happening. And then, our brain doesn't fully develop until we're 25, 26 years old. So you have all these formative years and these,
and that arrested development is
you get stuck there, you get paused, and you're still repeating. When these cycles start to repeat in my life of certain things, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Let me address this because this is probably connected to or with the CSA. And yes, I'm safe. Of course I'm safe. I'm 51 years old. I'm married. Nobody's abusing me here. But there's still that residual damage, that residue. And I've done the work and I've prayed and I have all the tools in the toolbox. And yet there is still additional work. So as we talk about the Cassie scenario, and the question is always, presented to the survivor, why did you immediately when a survivor speaks up, immediately when a survivor shares their story, immediately the questions and the responsibility is placed on the survivor. What were you wearing? Were you drinking?
Yes.
Why didn't you? Of course, they wouldn't ask us those questions. We're children, right? And this is a familial SA thing. But it's, well, are you sure that happened? Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe you misinterpreted. Well, I can't be as blunt as I want to be, but I wish I could because it's hard to misinterpret certain things. And I'll leave it to your imagination. I have lipstick, sorry, on my teeth here. But for Cassie, often people will say, and even for individuals like us who are survivors of child SA, why'd you wait so long to tell your story?
Oh,
yeah. For me, I waited. Again, I shared the ages with you. I didn't freely even talk about it until I was in my 40s. And so right before, was I 39? 39? No. 12 years ago. So about 39 years old. I was 39. And I know that because that's the year I met my husband, 38, 39 years old. And I wrote a poem and it was about that. And I shared it because there was something boiling over in me. Yes, I shared with personal people, a few people in my circle, but publicly saying
you hadn't really talked about it.
I hadn't. And I wrote this poem and I shared it in the room, and I was scared out of my mind, but it was time.
Exactly.
And so someone could look at that and say, wait, you were 39 years old. You said the last time it happened, you were 17 years old.
So you should
Why
be
would you
over
wait?
it.
Why would you wait 22 years to say it happened? Or why are you still even talking about it? Aren't you over that yet? No, I'm not. Because you cannot come in and interrupt someone's life and development.
That's right.
Peace and peace of mind, peace, safety in their own bodies, and do it one
And
time.
you have to.
Go ahead.
I mean, people. So I mean, just like you. When I was a little bit younger, I think I was like 26, 27 when I came out and said something. But imagine people have saw me at church with this person.
Yes.
They have saw me at dinner with this person. They have saw me at breakfast with this. You know, there was no like any like clues that this had happened. So here I go, you know, years later, saying that these things happen, and you know, you have people that's just like, nah, that don't sound, or it couldn't have, or are you sure?
Are you sure?
Or
and then the worst part for me is even those who believe it, because in my case, this abuser had not just abused me. My father had not just abused me. Now my uncle, I'm not sure if he molested anyone else, but he did with me, and he did come out years later when I was 21 years old and apologized. He owned it and apologized, and he owned it with my aunt and told her he did it. And my father was arrested not for what he did to me, but in the last abuse, the next day, I think it was the next day, 2 days later, he was arrested for bank robbery. So he was out of my life until he was released from prison this year. So we're talking 1990 to 2023, 33 years later, but never held accountable for that. Right. However, when you have the people who know this person's character, who know that they've abused other people, they might believe you, because belief wasn't an issue with my father. There were people in my family that believed me easily because they knew he'd done other things to other people. It was why aren't you over it? Get over it.
Oh,
something happened to everybody. Why you act like you're the only person in the world if something bad has happened to you?
That part.
First of all, he's my father. He's not your father, so it's going to impact me in a different way. First, right? That paternal offense. And processing that paternal offense and the expectations we have on our parents, right? And the need for safety that we have with our parents, that's broken. That's, you know, the betrayal of that. And then you have not just that, he was very violent with me, and there was DA with that situation. And also now you have, okay, we'll just suppress it. Just go on through life and get over it. And then life is happening. And I'm making poor choices, right? So now I'm a mom at 20 to almost 21 years old, a month before my 21st birthday. And I have to suppress all these things that I'm newly out of, because we're talking 17 to 20. That's only been a few years before. And I have to raise a whole soul.
Exactly.
I have to raise a whole child in a healthy way without therapy, especially at that time. 20, that's 31 years ago for me. And the residue lasts. It extends. There are things that have to be processed. There are triggers. So I really want to bring it back to Cassie, though. But I wanted us to lay the foundation of our own experience so that people can understand the perspectives of our lenses.
Exactly.
So with Cassie, it's why she waits so long. Okay, so Ash and I both talked about the paternal factor there and how this is a provider. And my father wasn't really a provider, but that stature of that role, that responsibility.
Exactly.
And then we're also raised to respect our elders. We're also raised to be compliant.
Well, another reason why you're compliant is because most likely this person has threatened you in more than a sexual way.
And whether the threat is towards you or your loved one, I'm going to do
Right.
something to your mother, because that was one of the threats for me. I'm going to do something to your sibling or
Oh
something.
yeah,
There's
that was that
always,
for me too.
yeah. So
Mhm.
it wasn't a sibling for me, but I know people who
It
have
was
had that.
it was my mother for me, and
It was my
so
mother for me.
in
Mhm.
your head, unfortunately, that child now protects.
Yes.
Right?
By
You're
taking on the abuse.
exactly.
I'm going to take it on. So with
So with that,
Cassie, he's not a paternal figure, but he was also older than she was.
right.
She
But
was
then
very
also
young. Mhm.
that threat plus the money. So if I do
Power. It's the
open the
power
power,
dynamic.
and
Mhm.
if I do, and once again, the situation is all alleged. We have
Allegedly. These are the
alleged,
accusations. This is the case
allegedly,
that was settled.
allegedly.
Uh-uh.
And so, with that being said, if you open up your mouth, then I don't have that security, right?
I don't
And
have the
so,
security from him, Ash. And also, this is a powerful person.
yes,
So even as we talk about Cassie, when we think about the Me Too movement and all these people in Hollywood were being torn,
yes,
they were like feeling it. These were people in positions of power. They could
power,
ruin your whole career, your whole life. And
yes,
we all have visions and dreams and gifts and talent.
exactly.
If you want to be in the industry, yet this
And this
person
is
holds the keys to it.
this is your ticket holder, right?
Yes.
And maybe when everybody else walked away, they still were there,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because
And there is the grooming aspect. Hey,
yes,
I trust you. I see something special even in my case, and you talked about it in yours. With my uncle, he had that kind of access to me because he was the only person who really saw me.
exactly.
My uncle gave me a nickname. I was special to him. I was smart. I was wise. He
Mhm.
gave me the accolades. He built me up. So my guards went down, even though I don't think they were up at 9 years old. But I was really comfortable and the trust was there. So
Exactly.
you equate that or let that spill over into the industry. Oh, you have a talent that I've never seen. Oh
Mhm.
man, you can sing. You're going to change the world. You're
Mhm.
going to do this. I'm going to put this money behind your career. I'm going to do this. I'm even going to take care of your family while we do it because I'm going to pull
Exactly.
you away from the family. And I'm going, and not just that, but the impact and the influence that you have in the industry. So who do I tell?
Exactly.
Who do I tell if this person, allegedly, as it is in the court document,
Right.
if this person can go boom, boom to someone's car and the cars are in flames and
Exactly.
nothing happens to
Wait,
them.
hold on. And so I don't think we also are talking about this a lot of the times. And so this, I want to say a lot of the times, when you are with someone romantically, most of the time, in that way, you know where the bodies are buried. You know what that person is capable of,
Hello.
right? And
yes.
And also, we have all, let's be real, we done also heard some more alleged things about Diddy, right? That nobody has ever like brought all the receipts for, right? And so now when she comes out, we all like, maybe they were allegedly telling the truth.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I don't know if you remember in Living Color, but that woman, Kim Wayans, don't nobody talk about my Miss Jenkins. I ain't one to talk, and you ain't heard it from me, but this is allegedly happened. So we ain't one to talk, and you ain't heard it from us. But allegedly, Puff P Diddy, mother love brother, whatever his name is.
So that's what I'm saying.
Diddy,
that's how I'm like, now it's coming to the surface. Like maybe some of these things actually happen.
And again, so it's not even, I don't think our podcast is about whether,
it happened or not.
It's not even about him.
Show like the layers of.
It's the layers of that kind of offense and how it can have long lasting. I met a woman years ago. Well, actually not that many years, but she was in her 60s. just telling someone for the first time what happened to her as a child.
Oh yeah, but then let's also talk about how she had to get to a level of security and safety.
Yes.
In order to be able to tell the story.
And a level of courage, because it takes courage.
It takes a lot of
No
courage.
one wants to be this person.
No, nobody
I don't know.
I don't think that people understand. I'm sorry, y'all. My baby just gave me the plate up.
You're fine.
I don't think that people understand. Ain't nobody trying to come out and tell their business.
Girl, ain't nobody vibing for this. This
But
not something we want.
Let me tell you what I want to do. Live. Because that thing is tormenting you.
It is tormenting. It is pulling you back to a past you would rather never revisit again. It is showing up. And one of the things that we often do as survivors, we suppress just to go on. That's called survival mode. You know, you're in survival mode. Listen, I still got to take care of this child. I still have to be a wife. I still have to go to school. Right. I still have to go to work. Whatever you're doing, whatever your I still have to's are, think about your own life or your mothers or sisters or uncles or aunts, because men are also essayed. Men are also victims, survivors, overcomers of SA. So think about all the things that you had to keep doing while you're trying to process this, while you're trying to regain your safety, while you're trying to regain your identity, because it comes, especially if you were a child, it comes and steals, and not even just a child, still in the formulation years, those formulative years of your brain developing. And think about all the things that you lose, the pieces of you that are taken away.
And I agree. And people don't understand that regret that hits, right?
And the shame.
And the shame. And I think some of it is the regret and the shame of her never becoming what he could have said that she would have become, because she became so entangled.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Oh, Jesus.
I need you to repeat it.
So basically what I'm saying is we can't really comprehend the regret and the shame that she feels, right, of not becoming what he probably said she would become, because she was so entangled with him.
And yes, and you know, I'm the queen of yes, and yes, and let me solo myself out. The regret of not becoming what he said, but also what she envisioned for her own life.
Yes. What she
had her visions, her dreams, her aspirations and goals. She knew she had a talent, and she lost pieces of herself as these things were allegedly happening.
Exactly.
And Cassie is no different than any other survivor.
Not at all.
We all had visions, dreams, aspirations, desires, and hopes of who and what we'd become. And then that happened. And now you have to readjust. I said this thing in this group I used to be in. I will never be who I could have been before that happened.
Oh, Jesus. And hold on.
I will never be who I could have been.
About that. There's a regret and a hurt that comes with the person that you were, or thinking about the person that you were. Before those things happen, you also get into a cycle of chasing who you were before.
Yes. And the reality is, I hate to say it, I just said it, and I will repeat it. I will never be. If you are a survivor, you will never be. That person is gone. But here's the beauty, though. Here's the beauty. When I learned that I will never be her, she is gone. When I learned that, and I learned to love who I am, what's left of me? So when I say I'll never be, there are certain things that I used to think about the world before those things happened to me. There are certain things that I used to think about my safety in the world, my position in the world, who I would become. I'm not talking about just tangible things. When those things happen to you, they mess with your self-esteem.
That's right.
They mess with the way you view people. They mess with your trust, your level of safety. They make you alarmed. They put you in high alert and high alarm all the time. They make you hyper or hypo. One of the two you're going to flow in. Hypoactive, hyperactive in some area in your life. They make you question. Now you're insecure. Now you're questioning. They give you trust issues. All of these things become alive in you when they weren't before that. So that's what I mean about the I will never be. I'll never be this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed girl who thought people were good, innately good.
Exactly.
That I was just safe anywhere I went in any environment. I'll never be her again. I'll never be the optimistic, and I'm still an optimistic person. I'm more of a realist now than ever. Much more of a realist. But there are certain things you lose along the way because of what happened to you.
Yes.
And now it doesn't mean that you still can't make your life amazing and beautiful. You absolutely can, but you won't be who you were. And that it's not okay in the sense that it shouldn't be, right? That should not be. But we're here now. So now you can, when I learned to take what happened to me and look at who's left and speak back to that little girl.
Yes.
Then I learned to empower myself to do the best with what I have left. I think that's what Cassie's doing.
Yeah.
If this is allegedly true, she's doing the best with what she has left. Because so much was allegedly
and this
taken.
also is probably the first time I want to say the first time this is a part of taking your power back.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's in your voice. It's in your, why is it in your voice? Now think about this. It's in your voice because anytime this happens, it's not just the offense. It's the, oh gosh, we have to take this oath of secrecy.
Yes.
You can't tell anyone.
Yes.
You stop talking. Don't tell anyone. Put the makeup on to hide the scars, the marks. You don't walk. I don't care if you're in pain. You better walk and pretend. So now you put on masks. You learn how to mask everything. You learn how to smile through it. You learn how to say you're okay, even when you feel like you're
and
literally
guess what,
coming undone.
We are secretly not with her, right? What could allegedly be happening is I'm taking my power back, but when he comes on TV, I turn it off.
And flashbacks happen, not just I turn it off.
Yes.
Now I'm pushed back into that moment. That's a trigger.
Exactly.
And now when we talk about this, people are talking about the money aspect. If this is true, based on the allegations, how many relationships were failed because of what she went through? How much mental anguish and torment was she going through? Is she able to hug her kids because she's emotionally damaged? We don't know. These are just questions.
That's right.
Right? But these are some of the complications that can come because of what happened. Now, again, like I said, you have trust issues. So every relationship you have, it's damaged because you don't fully trust people anymore.
That's
you don't fully feel safe anymore. You don't feel safe in your body. So
and let's also talk about this aspect, because we have a lot of people that be like, well, if they did it, then why ain't nobody else saying it?
Again, the power dynamic. Who
weird.
Is this person? You are very weird if you're thinking like that. You're
weird, friend. And the crazy part about it is sometimes, and I know this for sure, in my situation, I was the only person willing to actually come out and say something. Years later, revealing some of the part. Years later, I found out, and even right after, I found out that it was done to other people. But they were not as willing to be as forward about it as I was.
That would be me too. Me and my family.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, they weren't dealing with him day in and day out. So you know, out of sight, I don't want to say out of sight, out of mind, but you can kind of cope a little better when that person is not in front of you consistently.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's just like
when
common sense. Yeah.
That's another thing I ain't know for. Y'all had me out here looking like I was the only one.
Listen, I think I shared this before in one of the previous podcasts, but on my 30 something, maybe 40 year, I can't remember. I still have the Facebook Messenger message in my messenger. Still have it. I made sure I kept it. I think I was 30, almost 40 something. No, it was after I said something. So I had to be in my 40s. One of my aunts sent me this long message pleading with me to not take my life, which I wasn't even thinking about taking my life at that point. But she had seen something on my Facebook page, and she wasn't my Facebook friend, but she had seen something, and she came forward in this long message telling me about all the things that he did to her and how he did one of the very things that he did to me, my father, to her. I'm in my 40s. That happened to me when I was 16, 17 years old with him. Why y'all got me out here around him?
What, you got me out here around him?
Why is he able? Wait. Then my mother dies in 2016, and the uncle who, did what he did to me tells me, well, it's highly likely, and we know he did. He SA'd your mother, and you're the product of that. So again, why y'all got me out here around him?
Because
Wait. And when I was 6 years old, he SA'd a little girl who lived across the street from us and did 8 years prison time in San Quentin.
Let's just talk about
why y'all got me out here around him.
Let's just talking about how the jail should have been overpopulated. Period, friend, and we know it. Nevertheless, I mean, I remember finding out that it had been done to somebody else who was my age by this person. And I remember breaking down crying. And guess what my reaction was? How did I not know? It was, how did I not know I was stronger than that person? Why that person? The fact that I'm still thinking about somebody else.
Yeah. Because that's generally our hearts, right? We don't want anyone else to go through what we went through.
Thank you.
A decent person.
Back at the ranch,
you're
watching me, not saying nothing, and making me look like I'm the only one. Because guess what? People are committed to themselves, and they're committed to not just themselves.
They're committed to the fantasy and the narrative that they create. That's what they're committed to. People are more committed.
That people, I don't care how.
Listen,
you're really protecting that person.
I don't care how much someone says they love you. In some of these family structures, they are more committed to the fallacy of their family than the reality of the family.
Exactly.
And they will fight tooth and nail.
They will fight tooth and nail to protect something and proclaim that it's legacy.
Absolutely.
Foolishness.
While it's destroying every bit of the legacy, of the real legacy. And now you're creating a new legacy, a legacy of perversion.
I remember when I said, oh yeah, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to tell my story. And one of them had the audacity to tell me, be careful of what you say. Ma'am, to spam. Let me tell you something, little girl.
Ooh, listen.
While you're protecting your little funky family, y'all leave y'all generational curses to yourselves. Don't bring that over here.
Yes, Anne. My theory, my status, my posture on this situation is don't do anything to me that you don't want told. Because if I know that you out here being a predator,
shucking and bucking,
I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure I protect any and every person I can this here mouthpiece of mine.
That's right.
Because I never want the blood on my hands.
But this is the thing. But my biggest thing is by you not telling your story and being upfront about it. And you got me because this is the thing. By default, I'm the outsider because I don't share y'all blood. right? And will forever be the outsider because I don't share your blood. But do you know that it's a generational curse for you to keep
Still.
protecting this legacy?
And you have that
That's
aspect. I share the blood. This is my bio father. This is not a stepfather or
yes,
daddy. This is my biological father. Okay. I could send you a photo on how we look alike. Okay. This is he. And still, for the sake of the skeletons in the closet, you would prefer to put the girls, little girls and possibly little boys, who knows, in harm's way than to
exactly.
protect and stand up and take
And
courage
you
and
got your
say no
and you
more.
got your kids around this person. And you got your nieces and nephews around this person. And you got and it's just like, ma'am.
So
And
Ash, we
then
have to
hold on.
rein it in.
Sorry. And then
You go ahead.
Then you had an incest on top of that. And I'm gonna mind my business.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna close the
Absolutely.
door. Sorry.
Absolutely.
I done got fired
No.
up.
But are you over it yet? That's the point. So we trickled a little bit of Cassie in there, but a broader conversation of why survivors wait. There are many reasons. There are safety issues. I'm still having to process life. I'm still having to grow. My brain is still developing if it happened as a child. There is regular everyday activities of life and surviving. There is, if I see it again, I might not be able to face it. What will I do? Many individuals who deal with substance abuse and alcohol abuse, if you go through and dig under all of that, oftentimes there's some kind of abuse at the root of it.
It is.
That they're trying
not to cope with.
They don't want to see it.
No.
It hurts too bad. And unless you've been there, stop judging other folks' pain like this, especially
and I don't think we
trauma.
understand a lot, but a lot of that is because we don't understand how the brain works.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I brought the frontal lobe and
the prefrontal cortex and the frontal cortex, all of those things, the amygdala,
right brain, all of these things, and your brain is still freaking developing. And even Cassie,
your nervous system,
system,
it's hardly ever the same.
It is, like I said, hypo active. Often, we are often walking around in a state of triggers. And trying to regulate the nervous system.
Don't put other things on top of that. And for some
odd
reason,
why I said regular life.
When you go through trauma, you attract more trauma. You be like, now,
of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do. Like, what? Okay, enough is enough is enough is enough.
And your life starts to sound like a movie. You like, no.
Mine is. Mine definitely is.
Oh, I know mine is.
Some of the things, it's like, did this really happen?
Did you really get held hostage? No, you're lying. You gotta be.
Yeah. Believe me, I know. Was there really a pow put to your head and played Russian roulette and pulled the trigger twice and choke out of here, pass out? And did you really try to leave this earth 4 times, and on the 4th time you actually stop breathing, stop thinking, stop living? Did that really? No, that couldn't have. Did they really use a defibrillator on you to bring you back? Nah, come on now. Like, not to mention, in addition to which, often, not all, but often, individuals who are survivors deal with health problems. Did you know that? Did you know that? Various types of health problems, like migraines and headaches and stomach issues, because that's why I went to stomach issues, fibroids and uterine and ovary and the cancers and all. Many survivors deal with that.
But people don't understand, trauma is literally,
it lives in your body. The body remembers.
But it's like and it's a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
The Body Keeps the Score. Yes, it is.
But trauma is literally like pounds of stress. That hits every part of your body. And like, I even remember being young and I could never hold my pee.
Mm.
But now that I'm like, when I was having a kid and they told me I had fibroids, that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably developing fibroids from the stress, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I had done my research. How many people have fibroids who have been through trauma? And there is a link.
Of course. There's a link to many of those kinds of issues. I used to have seizures, grand mal seizures, would pass out and convulse on the floor for years. In the time frame, they came on when I was 16 years old. The first time my father did what he did to me. I was 16. This is 35
And
years later.
that was your
35 years
body's
ago,
way
my
of
body's way
dealing with it.
of shutting down because it
Yes,
was too much for my brain to handle. I
exactly.
had grand mal seizures from 6 to the age of 22, maybe 23 years old, and then they stopped out of nowhere. They kept telling me, you don't have epilepsy, but you have epileptic seizures.
But
What are
let's
you
also
talking
talk
about?
about, I mean, that too. How many kids
Oh, wait,
have
and
gone through
fibroids?
trauma that
Wait,
probably
wait,
had
wait.
what?
Ash, I had fibroids too. I had a whole
Yeah.
hysterectomy because I had fibroids the size of cantaloupes in my. Come
Oh
on.
yeah. Guess what? I got them right now. You know,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
mean, but how many kids have been any type of aid
Yep.
and have severe ADHD? You know,
Absolutely.
because you can't focus like that.
I
You
used to
just
have
can't.
migraines. I would have to sit in the closet, couldn't hear or see anything. Horrible migraines for years.
Oh,
Don't get me started on the many things that I've had go wrong in my body. And when we talk about get housed, that trauma gets housed until you start processing and healing. Hopefully
yes,
this conversation can bring you all to healing,
yes,
to take ownership and take your power
that
back,
part.
get your voice. You don't have to be out here in these social media
You
streets
don't.
telling all your business. You can
don't.
tell the story in the mirror to yourself. Get it out. Don't allow it to fester in your soul. Don't allow it to damage one more part of you. It's done enough damage.
Exactly.
Take your power back. So Cassie, if this is allegedly true, if this is true based on the allegation, more power to you. We applaud you. We see you. We support you. And we bid you healing, complete healing.
Yes.
Thank y'all. But now we're off. It's all on Ashley for the Creatives Corner. I'm so excited. I'm going to give you the solo spot. It's all on you. Take it away, Ash.
All right, y'all. I was not ready. I was thrusted into this
So was I.
Just like a child who.
So was I last week.
Who has to do their Easter speech. Here we
Me
go.
too, last week.
So the name of this piece is called Found Me. I wrote this April 20th, 2018. At 12:01 in the morning. Here we go.
Okay.
It's called Found Me. I wish I was who you think I am. I am not that girl. I cannot reach your expectations. Your acceptance is far too hard to attain. So I looked in the mirrors of my soul and found pain. Pain that reminded me that you had never gone through what I had. You never journeyed the places I've been to. That scar right there is from rejection and favoritism. This bruise right here, located on the right entrance of my soul, is from trying to picture my father. This cut right here from feeling unprotected. That wound over there is from trying to fit in when my personality was just like my rear, too much. But never being able to catch the right frame of him. I realized that my scars were more unique than yours. That the doors I had to shut took a little extra push. So I pushed past your acceptance and expectations and found me. Found me rooted in God and never stuck in my history. That is it. I can't hear you.
Sorry, girl. I put myself on mute so I wouldn't distract you. I said, I love that. That is beautiful. 3 days before my birthday in 2018. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
April 23rd. So that's awesome. See, she did really well, even though she talks about being thrusted. We both read something last minute. So everyone, listen, we're going to have really creative things that we do for the Creatives Corner. It won't always be performance or poetry. It might be us, sharing something creative with you that maybe you can try at home with your kids or your family or whatever. It might be a game that we found.
Yes.
Hey, let's play this game, and then you guys play it too, whatever. But we thank you. We hope this conversation was not too heavy, too hard. We hope that you really take ownership of not just your own healing, but also being that voice that stands up and screams out if you have to protect other children, other people. Okay? Be that voice. Ash, you have anything else?
No. Oh, we got to get in the business of this. Please like and subscribe and share our podcast. We would love for you to grow with us. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Ash Janelle, at Facebook as Ash Janelle, and on YouTube as Notes with Ash.
Yes, Ash. Thank you so much for that reminder. And you can follow me on Outta, Outta, my shell. That's Michelle, The Voice, on Instagram and YouTube. And on Facebook, you can follow me at Coach Michelle Jackson. Till next Friday, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bye, y'all. Bye.